Let's shift gears because obviously we're starting to run out of time. We can't not talk about what's going on. Hot off the presses today, Matt Gaetz has just removed his name for consideration. I think there's really the three other ones that are really challenging are Tulsi Gabbard, who I think in some ways is the worst of all. And then obviously Hegseth and RFK. I think RFK, if you asked me, is the one who's probably has the best chance of getting through because he has just enough good ideas to be dangerous. So in other words, I totally am with him on going after big food for these chemicals that are poisoning us and making our kids fat. I love traveling and you go around the world, I have a sensitivity to flour, but if I eat pasta in Italy, it doesn't affect me the same way that when I eat pasta in the US because of the Roundup type pesticides that we put in and things like that. So how are you feeling about those other three? Do you hope that they all three go down? And let's leave Attorney General to the side because we don't know who's going to replace Gaetz. But what's your thoughts on the other three controversial ones? We'll start with Ellen.
Well, I think I don't think Gaetz was ever intending to. I think they thought that if he could get through, great, and they very quickly realized he wouldn't. I think the whole plan was let's just throw this out there to give him a space to step down. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, please step aside quickly.
Well, he's going to run for governor in 26.
Yep.
So now he's well positioned.
So he's gone. Look, I mean, Donald Trump is doing exactly what he said he would do. Nobody should be shocked. You can't say where these people come from, what is he doing? I mean, he flew around with RFK Jr. That last month. So nobody can be shocked by this. It's not Pete Hegseth, I think, is a little bit out of the blue. Tulsi Gabbard's not. But he said, I'm going to find the finest in their field that will carry. I think he's really thinking about his legacy. He wants to put MAGA people in all these spots. How many
finest in their field? I mean, you would say that about Pete Hegseth?
No, that's what he said. That's what he said, that he was going to find.
You're saying he's following through on his promise.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he's finest in his field. That's a stretch.
Right. Well, in your opinion, I mean, he didn't like what's been going on at the Pentagon. He doesn't like, the way.
What about your opinion? Do you think Hegseth is qualified?
I'm willing to give him a chance. I want somebody young.
Tulsi Gabbard. People are saying that. I mean, this is one that the Russians called my girlfriend, and my fear is that our allies just aren't going to share intelligence with us because they're not going to want to turn it over to someone who's been a Syrian sympathizer and defends Putin, and I don't blame him. I'd feel the same way, and that's not even getting into the fact that she's grossly unqualified for the job.
Right. Well, I mean, if you look at historically at lots of cabinet positions, I mean, they're not always qualified. I mean, Obama's Secretary of the Army was never in the Army.
But that was
Biden. Yeah, but still, if you're gonna, push and fight, and Buttigieg, what he said he liked trains. This is our turn. We've won the presidency. If we can get these through in the Senate, I think if the Senate will agree to approve them, I think they all deserve their fair day in court or in the hearing room, and then let's let them go. I mean, what we've been doing hasn't been working. I mean, the country is a mess. I love that he's bringing in these people that are young, under 50, new ideas. And I mean, we're not going to destroy the country by letting Pete Hegseth run DOD for a year or two. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if he can lift morale. Recruiting is at a historical low for the military. We need young, strong men and women to join our military to defend us on our borders and abroad. And if Pete Hegseth has that ability, I'm all for it. I think he should.
I agree with your premise. I agree the Pentagon is bloated. I agree that you look at our military success rate recently, it hasn't been very high. I agree with all of that. But the point is you need to have someone in. I have no problem with someone coming in, shaking things up. You need to have someone in there that's run an organization of more than 10 people. You need to have someone in there who doesn't have, all these sexual scandals trailing him. Even the Wall Street Journal, which Carrie always likes to quote, and the New York Post has said, get rid of these four nominees. But even the Wall Street Journal today was saying how blindsided the administration is by all these sexual allegations. So, find someone else. There are other people besides a tertiary weekend Fox News host who can do a better job. Philosophically, I agree with you. And by the way, a lot of these other guys, whether it's Sean Duffy for transportation or, Secretary of Energy, who's, anti-climate science and those stuff, I agree. Those are minors. Are they my choice? No, but as long as they're not scandal ridden, the president has the right to appoint whomever he wants. But these three that are remaining could have dire consequences for the country, particularly Tulsi Gabbard, because it's one thing to be unqualified, but it's another to be dangerous. And that's what really worries me. How about you, Carrie?
Well, first, I want to point out polling from Morning Consult, which is not Republican. Morning Consult, they work a lot with Politico. I would describe them as probably more left-leaning. But in any case, they do, I think, a decent job of capturing kind of snapshots. They found that 54% of voters approve of Trump's transition performance and only 38% disapprove. So that's an important backdrop, I think, to keep in mind, because people this was taken after these names are coming out. And I think that people want to give him a shot. And he's definitely taken a different approach this time compared to the time around, which was he went with a lot more status quo people because he was the new kid on the block.
He went with guardrails before.
Well, he went with more establishment for sure. And so I think in some ways he's trying out his sea legs of going for the people who, actually Megyn Kelly had a really interesting take on this when it came to loyalty. And she said, yeah, he's picking loyal people because the people in the first term did not protect the president from this insane, delusional Adam Schiff stuff and the millions of dollars of taxpayer money that was wasted on the ridiculous Russia collusion distraction.
We're going off on red herrings here, okay?
And he was really angry at the Attorney General for not stopping this insanity, and for not really. And yes, no one is above the law, but at the same time, the law should be applied equally to everybody. And Trump, according to, again, 2/3 of the American people, was the target of political partisan attacks by the intelligence agencies. And so that's why he's going a different route. Why he's valuing loyalty is because he has the right, as the duly elected popular vote president, to put his agenda in place. And so, okay, you know what? I actually went to grad school with Pete. I've known Pete for more than a decade. I was his orientation leader at the Harvard Kennedy School. I've known him for a long time. I would not go out with him when I was a grad student. He was single. Then I think he was getting out of his divorce, or I don't know his full romantic story.
Was that his second or third divorce before he was 50? I can't remember which one.
In any case, I thought it was Democrats who said that your personal life shouldn't affect your public service, first of all. And then I do believe he is vocal about his Christian faith. And one of the principles in Christian faith is the concept of forgiveness and redemption. I believe that those are concepts that all of us need. I think that Trump picked him because he wanted someone who's going to shake things up, because you just had the Pentagon fail its 8th audit of $800 billion. So where's this money going? And I for one,
agree, Carrie, all this stuff. I agree with you. I mean, I can always tell when you're starting to lose an argument because you revert to pulling up polls, which sometimes are relevant and sometimes are not.
This is very relevant. I'm just saying because
the point is that I agree with
you. The liberal media is
these the same people that said 70% of the people said that Trump isn't fit to be president. That he's despicable, but they voted for him anyway. So we can always find things in polls that we want. But
I'm just saying because the liberal media always talks about democracy.
Liberal media, yeah, the same.
And when the polling, and actually, Peter Thiel said this really interesting thing about populism.
There's another one.
Populism versus democracy. He said the left and the liberal media, whenever they don't like something, they call it populism. But when they like something, they call it democracy.
Liberal.
I bring up polls is because Dave, I know you don't like populism, but at the same time, polls are about democracy. Like populism.
And by the way, this is the same liberal media that covered up or didn't equally cover the story about how Biden was declining, but Trump was declining. But we're running out of time. And let me just ask you one final question to both of you.